Good evening, everyone. My name is Yufei and I'm the second speaker of tonight. And the presentation I'm giving today is titled Storytelling with Data and Digital Fabrication. So first, I'll give you a little bit information about myself. I graduated from Design Academy Eindhoven in the Netherlands in 2023. I'm a design researcher and storyteller. I'm passionate about intersections between technology, art, and design and humanities, and I infuse everything together in my work, which you will see later. My work revolves around socioeconomic issues, and I try to tell the stories and the narratives with humor and tangibility. So actually, to tell you the story, how I use data and digital fabrication to tell the story, I have to tell the story behind how I did it. So it's actually kind of like a prequel of my project. And as a storyteller, I'm gonna break it down into 3 stories. The first story is called Technology. Anybody knows what this building is? And anybody knows where it is? It's kind of like a landmark in Eindhoven. It's built in 1966 by Philips. So a little bit more information about Eindhoven, where I'm from. It's a famous city for technology. The 2 most famous things in Eindhoven are ASML. Anybody knows ASML? It's the chip maker, the lithography chip maker for computer chips. And the second is Philips. I think everybody probably had or have some Philips products at home, right? So this building was built by Philips in 1966, and it was intended as a scientific museum. But the museum got closed down in 1989, and ever since then, it's not open to public. But it's such a landmark, and everybody has some urban myth about this building. And I never got a chance to go into this building until in 2022. There's an organization called Next Nature Network. They took over the building and they put a permanent exhibition in the building, which is named Ritual Future. And I took this screenshot from their website. Their slogan is, "Technology is our next nature," which I immediately disagree with. But why next nature? What is technology? What is nature? And what are we? Why, when a bird builds a net, it's nature. When the bird builds a nest, it's nature. And when we build a house, it's technology. Why is this, there's a distinction between us and other than us, the non-human part, the living beings surrounding us? Why are they nature? Why we are not nature? So with my question and a little bit of anger, I got into the building of my project. And this is the book in their museum shop. And from the cover, we can already see what makes their world, what is the foundation of their world. It's very Western-centric and Christian, fundamentally Christian imagery they want to impose. And without any question about technology, they just simply naively have this vision of technology being optimistic about technology, and it's going to be our future. But I think, ironically, one thing they might get right is, you see, maybe you can see here, in the hand of Adam, there's a cell phone. I think it's actually, cell phone is kind of like our forbidden fruit of today. Like, we are all too addicted to our phones. With a little bit of anger and the question of distinction between nature and technology, and what is technology, what is the essence of technology, I found some guidance from Martin Heidegger. In 1954, he published a book titled the question of technology, or question concerning technology. And in this book, he coined this concept of Gestell. I don't know if our AI helper can translate this German word. In English, it can be translated into framing, which means we just take everything as a standing reserve for us to consume without thinking about, do they have agencies, do they have subjectivities? And like in this way, we eventually risk taking our fellow humans as standing reserves to use to suit our needs. As we can already see in internet culture or the development of large language model, we already take human language and human knowledge as a resource to train the machine. But I'm in no means against the development of AI and technology. I'm just against the thought of taking everything as a resource and disrespect the agency behind the living beings. Same for human and for nature, for non-human, for everything. And so this is a little bit more about the essence of technology. The essence of technology is also an environmental warning, examining how the standing reserve mode discretes our relationship with nature, and eventually it will become completely destructive. Furthermore, the inframing will only deepen. It will more and more be a reflection of ourselves. And now with this kind of a little bit of anger of the incentive behind the development of technology, we enter the second story of today, Gaia. Anybody knows who Gaia is, or like what I'm referring to in this? Yeah, correct. It's originated in Greek mythology, and she's kind of like the mother of Earth or the goddess of Earth. But to tell you more about Gaia, I need to talk a little bit more about technology. As you can see, we are all aware that we are in the mid of environmental crisis, climate change. And look at what the tech bros are doing. Like on the outside, they are promoting their newest technology, and on the inside, they are digging deep down into the earth to try to build a bunker in case some future disaster will happen. But if not digging deep, what else can you do? You can try to conquer another planet, go out to the space. And by showing you these two tech bros, I want to show you this diagram. I took this diagram from Bruno Latour's book, Down to Earth. In his the book, he calls this book a political fiction, and he argues that in today's politics, it cannot be simply divided as the classic left versus right way of thinking that we are used to. But at the core of every disagreement or different way of thinking politically, the core is actually our environmental crisis, is climate change. Let me explain a little bit. So the book is called Down to Earth. He argued that we have never been down to earth. We always take earth as a hypothetical concept and not really thinking earthly. The attractor one loco is the tendency, the reactionary right-wing tendency of getting everything back to the old time and having everything as the old time, all the traditions and rules and heritage from religions were just the old times. And the global attractor to global is globalization, like the used to be idealized idea of Earth as a village, which is kind of bankrupting right now. That's the second attractor. And the fourth attractor out of this world is what I described with the tech growth. If we destroy this planet, we as well just find another one and start over from there. But he argues, actually, we can have the third attractor, the terrestrial attractor that lead us, like that unite us together with thinking with the beings on this earth together with a ecocentric, like with the ecology as the center of thinking, that we can unite different schools of thoughts, different political parties, that we can focus on solving the climate crisis. And he didn't come up with the idea out of thin air. He was inspired by the Gaia theory. As you can see on the book on the left, he gave 8 lectures in France, and he summed it up and to this book, Facing Gaia. So the Gaia theory was coined by James Lovelock, and to explain it in one sentence, the Gaia theory, it's not like he doesn't believe that there's a goddess called Gaia that's in charge of everything on Earth, or they can control everything on Earth. It's to simply make it easier to illustrate the idea of a living organism, like everything has a feedback loop, like your action has a consequence. And for example, if you cut a tree today and there's a consequence with the disappearance of the tree, it's as simple as that. Everything we do on this planet has a consequence, and we have to start to take that into consideration in everything we do. And that's simply the idea of Gaia hypothesis. So let's, with all those background stories, let's go back a little bit to my project. So in my project, the core of my project is to reflect on this relationship we have had so long with non-human, with technology as the instrument that we have this interaction or relationship with non-human. And in my project, I want to just simply reverse this power dynamic to, I think the simple action of reversing is the easiest to make people empathize with the counterpart. So, but go back to the story part, I have a little bit more of story as me as a designer to tell you. I have been doing parametric design and 3D printing ceramic for 4 years, and this is me printing with a 100,000 euro robotic arm, a hand, in Design Museum, a hand. As you can see, a 3D printer is something really revolutionized the discipline of design, and we can do so much with 3D printer nowadays. It's not only we can print clay with a robotic arm, but we can also print architecture with concrete. And if we want to go precise, we can print something smaller than your fingerprint, smaller than your fingertip. So it's kind of, the development of 3D printer is kind of becoming a celebration of this technology rather than having this technology for its own sake. It's like we are trying to make it smaller, make it more precise. Everything is aiming for something to celebrate the technology itself, which I think the technology, the development of technology should have a Gaia concept inside of it. We should put human out of the center of in what we design, but we should start to think a more ecological way, a more what I call Gaian way, that we should take everything around us into consideration. So That's where I started my project. And this picture was taken from my room in Eindhoven. I live in one of those concrete boxes. There was no greenery near me other than the plants in my terracotta pots. And that's where my project, the concrete part of my project came about. Because this terracotta pot is the only connection I still have with nature in my concrete urban living. And it's such a symbolic form of a container for life. And it's also this instrument and connection that I have with non-human. So my project started with 3D printer and terracotta pots. This is a diagram for the temperature in 2023. 2023 was the world's warmest year on record. And 1976 was the last year that the Earth had a cooler than average temperature. So in order to make my narrative work, to reverse the dynamic between technology and nature, or like non-human, I want to use weather data to control technology. So inspired by this diagram, I look at the weather data in 2023, and luckily the Meteorological Institution in the Netherlands has all the data from as early as 1970. So I could get all the data I needed. So I designed this program that takes weather data and it designs a terracotta pot. So my terracotta pot is not going to be perfect because it's controlled by the weather data. And the point is also not to make something perfect, but to make a voice or to speak for something that has been taken the agency from for so long. And the three factors that I took from the weather data was temperature, wind, and humidity, because that's also the three driving forces of atmosphere of all the weather activities. So I made this parametric design program. It's done in Grasshopper in Rhino, and as you can see, if you change the input I take every day's weather data and I put it here, and each data changes, the shape of the pot also changes, and the more it diverges from the average, the historical average, the more the shape will be deformed or distorted. And in that way, I say it's reflecting the mood of Gaia, because all the irregular weather activities were like climate disasters are more impactful on other beings outside, but sometimes also us, or all the time also us. So I called it Gaia, how are you today? It's kind of every day making a pot with weather data and ask, hey Gaia, how are you today? And how is Gaia is reflected on the shape of the pot. So, to make the pots deform, I also have to control a bit how much it deforms. If like it only goes to the extreme, it's not reflective enough to have a comparison between what is a good weather and what is bad weather. So I have to fine-tune the program a little bit, and eventually I reached what I wanted, and that's many of my attempts. And this was my graduation presentation. I made 92 terracotta pots, one pot a day during my graduation period, and I put all the dates on the pedestal, so you can see how the weather was on that day. And with a large installation, you can see how climate change has kind of affected the environment in this period of time. And this is my video that I also shown together with those parts, and it's kind of summarized the stories that I told you so far. So let's just hear the story one more time.
The essence of modern technology is in framing, as a specific way of knowing natural systems through challenge and provocation. Every being is regarded as a standing reserve or resource, submitted to calculability. Humans think one thing certain about nature is uncertainty, the wilderness, wildness, wild. What humans fail to see at the core of this uncertainty is the entanglement of every species, the entanglement of agencies. Gaia is a dance of agencies. One day last summer, I was walking down the streets with a friend. She casually mentioned the amount of sunlight we got this summer was equivalent to what we used to get for a year. Then we encountered a ginkgo tree, which was shaking off nuts all around itself. When plants think they are dying, they make as many offsprings as possible. But most humans care more about harvesting and neglect the message behind it. Humans use technology as an instrument to interact with non-humans, but a one-way interaction. Lead the dance as you wish, but maybe not make your partner a puppet. How about listening to precarity instead of eliminating it? All I care about now is, Gaia, how are you today?
So thank you for watching the video, and that leads to the end of my presentation. And I want to quote one of my heroes, Donna Haraway, but as much as I love her, I don't have her quotes in mind, so I have to pull out my forbidden fruit. And it's about the importance of storytelling. It matters what matters we used to think other matters with. It matters what stories we tell to tell other stories with. It matters what nots, what thoughts think thoughts, what descriptions describe descriptions, what ties tie ties. It matters what stories make words, what words make stories. And thank you for listening to my stories. But before I end, there's a bonus, another story. Because as Lisa already introduced, we have the end presentation of our residency tomorrow at Texture, 11:30, and we provide you with drinks and snacks. It's a very chill time. Just come and have a chat and see our work. And thank you very much.